Okay, so very quick lesson on simple trinomials and how to factor them. We are not going to get into extra variables or taking out a common factor in this video. This is a quick little introduction, and I'm sure a lot of you don't even need this because that math whiz shows it so well. So here's the thing. Here we have a trinomial. I would have to write something like factor. You would see, hey, look at nice trinomial. First thing you're supposed to do is look for a common factor, but I've already told you we're not going to be doing that yet. So what I need you to do is to look at this, and I want you to think of two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 8. So there are an infinite number of numbers that add to 8, because it's not just like 6 and 2. You could do 10 and negative 2. And so it can go on forever. So you never want to start with that. You want to think of things that multiply to 12. So in the video, like I think they would list things like 12 and 1 and 6 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I think they also went through the options that these could all be negative as well. Negative 12 and negative 1 multiply to 12. That's my dog coming in the room. Negative 6 and negative 2, okay? But they have to add to a positive, so I'm not going to worry about any negative values. So which of these will add up to 8? Well, obviously, we've got 6 and 2. So that's all you're going to do. You're going to put down two brackets. They're each going to have a binomial in them. X has to go at the front because the only thing that multiplies to x squared is x times x. And then you're going to put plus 6 and plus 2. Okay? And if you wanted to check that answer, what would you do? You would expand it out. So if I felt like checking it, I would go first, outside, inside, last, and hopefully you would realize that you get the same answer than what you started with. Okay? So that's a very basic factoring, all nice and positives. Okay? We could get into ones that are a little trickier. Here's another one, so we'll call that number 1. Number 2, let's try y squared minus 2y minus 24. Okay, so we got negatives that we're going to deal with here. Now I'm going to show you another thing, another way that we are going to possibly look at this. Remember I told you there's so many different ways you can factor. So the other thing you can do is you can set up a chart. Well, it's called a cross chart actually, it's a cross method. And what you do is you're going to write an X like this. You're going to take the numbers that we have to multiply to. So we're going to have to multiply to negative 24. And we have to add to negative 2. And this chart is going to become useful later on. So, I mean, you don't have to use it, but it is a neat way to think about some of these. So can you think of two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 2? Well, it's sort of mental gymnastics at this point, and sometimes the signs can make all the difference. So if I think of everything that multiplies to 24 and adds to 2, well, let's think of what multiplies to 24. So we've got 24 and 1. That's not going to work. 12 and 2. You're not going to be able to make 12 and 2 into a negative 2. 8 times 3. Can we get 8 and 3 to combine to a negative 2? Not going to happen. You're going to get a 5 or an 11 in there. What else do we have? 6 and 4. Ah, ding, 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 ding. I think this might be the winner. So if we want to multiply 6 and 4 to get a negative and have 6 and 4 add to a negative 2, then you're going to have the negative go with the 6 and the positive go with the 4. So what they do is in the delta math is they will actually have you put in negative 6 and positive 4. Now, that isn't necessary to answer the question. Like I said, you could just do it the way we did it up here. This is getting us ready for what we call complex trinomials, which we're going to be learning on Friday. So anyhow, we're going to go down here and we're going to basically very quickly answer the question by writing in, we have to put y at the front of both brackets, and then we're going to put in our negative 6, whichever way you want to look at it, and our positive 4 are going to go in here. And again, if you want, you can multiply y times y, y times 4, negative 6 times y, negative 6 times 4, and after you simplify, you should get your answer, okay? So, when I give you some questions on Delta Math, this is the method that they get you to start practicing, and you're not even going to factor, you're just going to pick out numbers that multiply to the top number and add to the bottom number. And it isn't until you get to the last section of the Delta Math assignment that you're actually asked to go straight to the answer of how to factor, okay? One last tricky one, which I'll put in there just because it's one of my favorites and I want to end on something that I like. Get this one. I'll see if I can find, oh, I'm going to have to just make it up. So let's say we did w squared plus w minus 20. Okay? So this is question number 3. If I did that, what is the number in front of this w? The coefficient of this one is 1. So here I'm asking you to find two numbers that add to 1 and multiply to negative 20. Well, that doesn't make any sense. At least it didn't when I was trying to learn this kind of thing. How can you have two numbers multiply to 20 but only add to 1? Well, the fact is that it works if you realize that one of the numbers is going to be a positive and one of them is going to be a negative, okay? If they have to add to 1, then it's going to be something that only differs by 1. These are going to be consecutive numbers. So the trick to this one is realizing, again, the w, even if you don't put anything else down for an answer on this question, you can put your w's down. This one's going to be plus 5 minus 4. Minus 4 and positive 5 will multiply to a negative 20, but because one's a positive and one's a negative, you'll have it only add to a 1. Okay, so this should prepare you for the Delta Math assignment, and we'll do a really quick little zoom in of my adorable dog and her snoring.